King George receiving a historic ceremonial title should have been a proud royal moment. On the surface, that is exactly how the palace wanted it to look. A polished announcement, a sense of tradition, a clean story about continuity and the future of the monarchy. But behind the scenes, the mood was reportedly very different. According to reports, Queen Camilla was deeply upset by the announcement. And not because she had a problem with Prince George receiving the title. Not because she thought he was undeserving. The real reason, if these reports are accurate, was far more personal. Camilla apparently believed that one day a similar kind of honor might have gone to her own grandson, Freddy Parker Bowles, and what made it worse was how she found out. She did not get a private warning. She did not get a heads up from King Charles. She did not get a quiet conversation before the announcement went out. Instead, she reportedly learned about it the same way everyone else did, through the official palace press release. That is the part that changed everything. Because once you remove the royal polish, the story becomes much bigger than one title. It becomes a story about family, legacy, inclusion, and the quiet line the monarchy appears to be drawing between the Windsor bloodline and everyone else. To understand why Camilla reportedly reacted so strongly, you first have to understand where she has come from. Camilla Rosemary Shan, now Queen Camilla, has spent decades navigating one of the hardest paths in modern royal history. She was once the outsider. She was the scandal. Then she became the wife. Then the queen. That journey was not easy. It was not quick. And it was certainly not clean. She had to survive public backlash, media attacks, and years of being viewed by many people as someone who never quite belonged. She earned her way into the center of the monarchy the hard way. But according to insiders, her private goal did not stop there. She wanted her family to be part of that world too. Camilla has 2 children from her first marriage, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes. She also has grandchildren, including Freddy Parker Bowles. And while those children and grandchildren are part of her life, the monarchy has never viewed them as royals in the formal sense. They are not working royals. They do not have titles. They are not part of the official Windsor line. That, according to reports, is exactly what Camilla has quietly struggled with for years. She may have accepted that her own children would remain outside the formal royal structure, but she apparently hoped her grandchildren might one day be given some kind of ceremonial recognition. Nothing huge. Nothing that would challenge the throne. Just enough to signal that they mattered to the institution that their grandmother now helped lead. That hope, if the reporting is accurate, did not appear out of nowhere. It built over time. Camilla's inner circle reportedly believed that she had been working carefully behind the scenes to make her family more visible and more accepted. That did not mean demanding titles in public. It meant creating a sense of belonging, strategic invitations, family appearances, thoughtful placement at events, small signs that her family was not just allowed in the room but slowly becoming part of the royal picture. Some staff reportedly saw that as a long-term effort to shape how the monarchy viewed her bloodline, not as a threat, as part of the modern royal world. And in Camilla's mind, that may have felt reasonable. After all, she had given decades of loyalty to the institution. She had stayed quiet through criticism. She had done the hard work of rebuilding her public image. So why should her family be shut out completely? But that is where the conflict began. Because the next generation of the monarchy has a very different view. William and Kate, according to reports, do not see the future of the monarchy in terms of extended family inclusion. They see it much more narrowly. Their philosophy is simple. The monarchy survives by staying clear, direct, and tied to the core bloodline. That means less expansion, fewer ceremonial exceptions, and no blurring of the line between royal and non-royal family members. To William, this is not about being cruel. It is about protecting the institution from confusion, favoritism, and unnecessary complication. And that is where Camilla's hopes apparently ran into a wall. William, as future king, reportedly has very little interest in allowing step-relatives or their descendants to gain formal standing inside the monarchy. It does not matter how close they are to Charles, it does not matter how important they are to Camilla. In William's vision, royal titles are for the direct Windsor line. That means George, Charlotte, Louis, and the core royal bloodline, not the Parker Bowles family. And according to the reporting, this is not a recent decision. It has been building for years. Camilla may have hoped time would soften the position. She may have believed that her growing status as queen would naturally open the door a little wider for her family. But William's position appears to have remained firm. Only direct descendants of the monarchy would get that kind of recognition, no exceptions. So when Prince George received his historic ceremonial title, it was not just a public event, it was a message, a very clear message. The monarchy's future belongs to the Windsor line, and the rest of the family, no matter how close they are emotionally, will remain outside that circle. That is why this moment reportedly hit Camilla so hard. Because for her, it was not only about George being honored, it was about the realization that Freddy Parker Bowles would not be. The title that she had quietly imagined for her own family was never really on the table. And the way she found out, through the same press release as everyone else, reportedly made the blow even worse. No private courtesy, no warning, no kindness from the palace machine she has spent years serving. Just a public announcement that made the line unmistakable. Your family is not part of this. According to reports, Camilla was devastated by that. Not because she questioned George's worthiness, not because she objected to tradition, but because the moment confirmed her deepest fear that no matter how much she gave to the monarchy, her own bloodline would never fully belong to it. That is why the emotional reaction was so strong. For Camilla, this was not only a title, it was a judgment on her family's place in the royal world. King Charles was reportedly stuck in the middle of it. That is the difficult part of this story. Charles has spent years trying to keep the monarchy stable after one of the most difficult periods in its modern history. He is public about his role as king, but behind closed doors he is also a husband, a father, and a man who has to make impossible choices between family loyalty and institutional duty. According to insiders, Camilla had long relied on Charles's private support in her quiet hopes for her family. She may have suggested things gently over time. A little recognition here, a symbolic honor there. Something that would at least give her grandchildren a place in the royal story. And Charles reportedly would reassure her. Later, another time, we'll see. The kind of answer that keeps peace in the moment without truly promising anything. But when the actual decision came, Charles was forced to choose. Support Camilla's hopes or stand with William's vision of a slimmer monarchy. And by the reporting, he chose the crown, not the sentiment, not the family hope, the institution. That choice reportedly caused a deep emotional rupture. Camilla apparently felt betrayed not by William but by Charles himself, and honestly that makes sense if you look at it from her point of view. She had stood by Charles for decades, through scandal, through judgment, through public humiliation. She helped him survive one of the most difficult public relationships in modern royal history. So for her this may not have felt like a policy disagreement. It may have felt personal, like after everything she had done, her own husband had chosen the institution over the part of her life she wanted to protect most. That is the kind of hurt that goes much deeper than a title. It becomes about belonging. It becomes about whether the monarchy truly accepts the people who stand beside it, or only tolerates them. After the announcement, Camilla reportedly broke down privately, not in public, not in front of cameras, but behind the scenes, in a private setting, away from the public image she has spent years building. According to reports, she was emotional, shaken, and deeply upset, and the reason is simple. The title given to Prince George was not just a ceremonial honor. It was a declaration of the future. It told the world that the monarchy's next phase is being built around the direct Windsor line. It also told Camilla very clearly that her family would not be part of that future in the way she had hoped. For some royal observers, this may look like a natural choice. After all, the monarchy has always been about lineage. Titles have always followed blood. That is nothing new. But for Camilla, the emotional meaning was different. She had spent years trying to prove that she belonged. This moment told her that her family, at least in the eyes of the institution, never really would. And that is why the story has such emotional weight. It is not just about George getting a title. It is about what that title said to everyone else around him. Prince George is being raised as the future of the monarchy. His role is clear, his path is clear, his place is protected. Freddy Parker Bowles, on the other hand, remains outside that structure, loved by Camilla, close to the family, present in royal life, but still not royal in the official sense. That is the quiet divide that this story exposes, and it may be one of the clearest signs yet of the direction William wants the monarchy to take: a smaller circle, a cleaner line, a more controlled future. That vision may be practical, it may even be necessary, but it also comes with a cost, because when you draw the line that sharply, somebody always ends up on the outside. In this case, that someone is Camilla's family. So the real question is not whether Prince George deserved the title. He probably did, at least by royal tradition. The real question is what the announcement did to the people around him, to Camilla, to Charles, and to the quiet hope she seems to have carried for years that her grandchildren might one day be given a small place in the royal world she worked so hard to join. That hope, according to these reports, has now been crushed. And if the reporting is accurate, the message was final. The monarchy will remain Windsor-centered, bloodline first, sentiment second. No room for blended family exceptions, no room for quiet wishes, no room for the Parker Bowles line to become part of the royal future. That is what made Camilla cry. Not jealousy, not anger at Prince George, but the painful realization that the institution she fought so hard to join has a very clear boundary, and her family is on the wrong side of it.